Okay, I think I can start now. Hello,
Yes.
everyone. Thank you very much for your host, Lodovico. And today I would like to present my talk, which focus on the security and privacy problem in Android platform. In this talk, I will show you how can we know the application try to spy you and try to collect your information via their application. And my talk today will focus on the four things. The first one, I will give you the motivation for this talk and some background before go detail in the first one. In the detail section, I will show you some approach which they try to recognize this application violates the privacy or not, and how they can do this. And finally, I will use some concludes about the current approach. So let's go to the first section. As you know, application is play an important role in our lives. We can easy to download some application. They cover on our requirements from the advertisement to our business. So we can easily install one application, but if we want to use their benefits, we must be so on their requirements about yourself and about your device, also about your friend and your relationship. However, not most of them is useful for the execution, and some of them they will transfer to the other third party. And one survey from some company focus on the privacy, they show that many people believe that the application collect illegal their information via the application. For the most of them believe that some biggest companies like Facebook, Biden, or Alphabet try to collect their information and use this for the advertisement or use for the other application inside. So that's why most of them try to uninstall this application after they know some validation some kinds of the record of the privacy policy in the application. And many people believe that they try to spy their location and their behavior under the application. Not only the user, but also the governments, they have some kinds of a conflict between the privacy policy with the big company. Most of them in the GDPR and Alphabet company. Alphabet company try to collect their many information even inside and outside European country. That's some kind of conflict with the GDPR laws. That's been quite illegal in the Google analysis or many other kinds of the application. Not only Alphabet, also Meta, they have some kinds of conflict with the European countries, and most of them, Mark Zuckerberg want to withdraw on the application in the Meta out of the European country. Is very common. So to cover on the requirement and to reduce the user concern about their privacy, they must be so on their requirements about the privacy collects and some types of information collect from the user. So to address on the user concern about privacy risks, they must be provide the request permission before the user can install the application. But this idea is not to cover on the privacy problem, because some application, not some onboard application, just some of them, some of the permission, and for specific case, some application did not show any kind of request permission. That is the point. And the second thing, they must be show the privacy policy, and this is one requirement from the GDPR. The application must be so their collect data when, how, and which data they collect from the user in the privacy policy. And maybe they must be so kinds of privacy violation from the justice party evaluating. For instance, some website try to analyze the privacy policy and show to the user to know in the short version or the abstract version of the privacy policy in the key information about what data they collect, when they collect, and how they can process the user data to for the application execution. But some of them is just conflict, and some of them is not mention the full information about what they do behind the user using. That's reason why many research try to focus on the two things. The first one try to compare something they said in the privacy policy and something they do in the static analysis process or some kinds of dynamic analysis process to see the behavior in the two aspects, data collection and data sharing. So in these talks, I will focus on two things. The first one, how can we analyze the privacy policy to highlight key information related to the privacy, and then how can we use this info to compare with the data collection and data sharing. So let's go the next section in the background about first privacy policy. In the privacy policy, it inform the user what, when, why, and how information we collect this or we will process it. So you can easily find some privacy policy easy way by go to the app markets like CX Play or the App Store. Try to go the bottom and you can see the privacy policy. Just click on the link. They will change you to the other window, the other tab. Sorry, the other tab. And in one privacy policy, there must be some information like the collect data or some kinds of the disclose data or the third party using, because in one application they cannot do everything. They try to review some function available or developed by the other party, and they review this for their execution. And let's go to the definition of the privacy problem. The first one is incomplete. Incomplete, it means some information in the privacy policy is not covered on the behavior of the application. For instance, they collect the user data including location, camera, and the contacts. But in the privacy policy, they mention only the location. So that is one example of the incomplete privacy policy. And we have some kind of the other examples like they did mention the purpose of the data collection, or they did not mention the names of the third party they use. That's reason why on this the information in the privacy policy just show some of views in the application behavior. So move to the next definition of the privacy policy in correction. In correction, something they do is very, very different with something they say. For instance, they say they won't collect, use, retain, or disclose personal information, but somehow in their application, they try to collect as much as possible. That's reason why when the user knows the application do something different behind their side, they will uninstall. But how we know? So we will address this problem in the next section. For the last definition is inconsistent. Inconsistent, they try to compare the first application with their third party. It means the third party library provides many benefits for the developer to reduce the time for implementation, or also use this to earn a lot of money via the advertisement or the analysis, something like this. So for instance, the most common like SMOD is the most common, or some kinds of Google ad is focused on the advertisement purpose, or price-based focus on the analysis purpose. And in the privacy policy, when the user read it, they just mentioned the name of the third party, and they did not show the full information about the which data collect and use this data provide to the third party and receive the return from the third party. For instance, in the tempo run verification, I think one of many people know this, and you can play one or more time this game. And in their privacy policy, they say that they did not use or collect their location of the user. But in the third party they use, the third party collect the location. So it's very different with something they say in the privacy policy. So it's one of the privacy violations. So that is the three definition of the privacy violation. So let me repeat. The first one is incomplete, the second incorrect, and the last one inconsistent. So now we have the three things, three definition of about the privacy problem. So maybe one of them from the careless preparation from maybe the developer, so they cannot do so full information about what they do, or they just a typo or some kind of missing. However, in the incorrection or inconsistent, it's very different story, because the incorrection, they know what they do, but they ignore what they say. So that the some strong points in the privacy violation. For instance, when they implement something, they know what they do, but they didn't mention it's a big problem. And to detect this problem, we can use the other aspect of the static analysis, dynamic analysis, or high risk analysis, technical, and combined with the NLP in the privacy policy. So let's go to the first one, using only the static analysis combined with the privacy policy analysis. So let me first to define what they do in the first paper. The list of reference I saw in the end of this talk. So I will send you if you want to read further and get further information. So in the first one, you see here we have retrieved input. The first one, they try to get the required permission from the description analysis, and then they try to cast the collected data from the cost, from the up cost. The second in the static analysis, the third one, and in the privacy policy, they try to use NLP to analyze what the up collects, use, retain, or disclose. They use NLP to collect the meaning of the up behavior. So in the static analysis model, they use how can I say, they unzip their APK file to cast the DEX files, and from the DEX file they can also have the Android manifest XML file. In Android manifest, we can collect the three things. The first one, the permission request for the application, and the second thing is the third party, just some of them, the third party, and the last one, they try to show you some sublink between the privacy policy and some kinds of the permission and the third party meaning. And and in that in the collection information, they collect the API usage and the URI logs. Specifically, they collect 68 sensitive function and 12 URI information, because in URI, the developer can get some log file from the application when the user using the app. And for the permission, we have two kinds of permission. The first one, the old one, is the first install. It means the user must be agrees on a requirement of permission before installing application. And the second thing is the newest one, currently on small the application following this case, is that in the first using, if the application requests this permission, the user can say yes or no. But both of them have one drawback, is that the user just say one time and they not to notify from this time in the to the future. It means when the user agree the application use this permission, it means the app can use this whenever the app call this function. So from the permission, the developer can instead how can I say, can use the other API to collect the detailed data from the user or the abstract data from the user at a general case. So It means that in the static analysis, the developer try to explore more and more information from the user via the APIs and the required permission. So go next to the detector incomplete. Incomplete is mean that something that is mentioned in the privacy policy is not so fully in the cost. So the first one, they try to collect the list of the list of permission first, because in the flick of permission, they analyze the application description, and from this they receive the list of request permission, and they compare with the permission in the Android manifest XML files. Next, they consider the API. They compare between the APIs usage with the data collection in the privacy policy, and they try to map the true story and find the complex thing. So go to the inconsistency. Inconsistency is mean the application can reuse some outcome from the other third party, and from the third party they can help the other privacy policy. So in this paper, they only compare the two things: the privacy policy in the application compared with the privacy policy in the third party. They ignore the application behavior. So what they do is they try to list on the request data or some sharing data or many related aspects in data collection and data sharing behavior, and compare with the third party. They map the two things to find the difference, and what is different is either inconsistency between the two privacy policy. So that's the own story of the paper do. And for the incorrect problem is mean in privacy policy, the application try to collect the data, but they say no in the privacy policy. So that's easy to compare the two things with the negative meaning to detect this behavior. So for the limitation, the application try to collect the data collection via the static analysis, only the static analysis, and they also have one big drawback is that the static analysis only detect the application behavior in their app code analysis. It means that in the Java code, we can easily detect some library, but in somehow the application gives some kind of native code, or the application will call the other library when running, or some application problem the static analysis cannot solve. So that is the main drawback in static analysis. And the second thing, in the inconsistency, they only compare the two privacy policy of the application and the third party, and they ignore the app cost behavior, like the data analysis in data sharing and data collection. So it's the other problem again. So to address this problem, the next paper with the tool the mobile purpose, they try to focus on the inconsistency. It means inconsistency is the same definition. They try to detect the third party or what they do and behavior of third parties compared with the privacy policy, what it says in the application. So in here, in the dynamic analysis, they try to detect the data collection purpose based on the URL or some kind of the path or the name of the third party, and they also define the key value. Key is mean the data item, and the value is their value. And application can connect with the other third party without any declaration in the app cost. So it's true. That's reason why we can use only the dynamic analysis to detect the data sharing behavior. And in this paper, they also apply the supervised learning to detect the data collection purpose for many key value pairs. So that is the roadmap of what they do in this paper. The first one, they simulate the user interaction with an application. They will install one application, and they formulate the user interact with this and try to cast up their the package between this application and the other party. The other party can be observer or the third party, and they try to analyze this package in a normal way. On the package can be encrypted, but if you have some kind of certificates in stand between in the man in the middle, you can see the full information in the details of the package. Excludes one case that, for instance, like WhatsApp, they encrypt before transfer this package outside of the mobile phone, so we cannot to see that. And the other way, to remove the DSL or SSL, we can use some certificate to show that our side is justice, and we can remove this protocol and receive the original one. So that is the traffic request snapshot. And in the third one, they try to define is the key value. Is mean the key is also, they cannot, they may show the full meaning, but some of them they show just a symbol word like lat or long. It means latitude or longitude, and their value follows it represents the user data. After that, in the first step, they try to find the associated purpose. They are something they discuss up from the reverse step. And in the fifth step, they try to analyze the context, some kinds of the purpose, some kind of kinds of the data transfer, blah blah blah. And finally, they use the supervised learning to try to how can I say, in the first step, they use manually to label all the key value pair, and then they use this to training in the supervised learning, and they use the same model to predict the label for the other one. It's either outputs of the sixth step. So you can see here is the purpose of the data sharing activity. So go next to the purpose taxonomy. It means which kinds of the data the application can share. Depend on the different purpose of the developer or the author, we can have the different structure of the taxonomy. In here, they focus on 4 kinds of the data for the user. For instance, like the ID of the phone, or the ID of advertising, or ID of hardware. Because you know, in one application, even in 2 applications in the same mobile, they don't know in the same mobile, because in different app they have the different sense of, they have also different ID. So it means that they try to label the user, try to collect the behavior of user and find the personality advertisement for specific users. So that's the reason why it's very important to label specific user with their ID. Maybe even in Google, I don't know, they can, we have many applications in the same company in like Google Search or Google Hangout or Google Map, many things, but I'm not sure they can award that they install in the same device or not. So that's the reason why it's very important to label the advertising ID. And for the phone status, they are very important for some kinds of the advertisement, because the user will have some charity when using the application or when using the phone, or they have the more and more behavior when using, when they start, they stop, what time, whatever they can collect. It's mean the phone status, many things. And also for personal data, it's shown here contact list, calendar, SMS, and user profile. And you can see the third one here, the application, why they focus only 5 things here. I also do the dynamic analysis. Most of them focus on 5 things here. to collect from the user. We can extend the list in the personal data with more kinds of the data, or sort it just focus 3 of them or 2 of them, depend on the purpose of the developer or the purpose of the researcher. Also for the sensor or generally in the device, they collect many things, like not only the list in here, there's also the gyroscope or accelerometer, many things of the phone. So, but in this paper, they forgot on the 4th thing, because depend on the list of the application they will label. So go to the sensor detail, because from these kinds of the data, what they will do for this, they list many purpose based on the host name of the third party, or the past, I mean the founder store this information, try to predict the purpose of this one. So how they can do predict, I will introduce you next slide. So give you a quick reviews in the how can they set up the environment to collect the data. As you can see here, they have 7 mobile, and they install the application in the real one, and they formulate the user interaction. They use some kinds of machine learning, try to simulate the user using of the application. They it's like the unit test. You define the subset of the possible case, and then they just use some of them to set the application. They also use the same. And one application they run on 3 minutes, and on the package between the application and the other party, they cast and store in their server, and they try to analyze this and define their key values pair. So for the data types, they use the 2 things to determine the data type. The first one they use is the batch of work. It means they just use a simple word represent the long meaning. For instance, ADS can represent for advertise or advertisement, blah blah blah, many things. Or LAT or LON, it represent for latitude or longitude, some of them. And but most of them can use with this side to detect, and the remaining they can use the bootstrapping or text pattern. They use the onRedis library to detect the meanings of the name of the key, so they can predict the data type from this data set. And for the data collection purpose, they detect is via the 6 step. The 6 step here. The first one, if the easy things, they try to get the URL's name. Meaning, for instance, they use the last folder is ADS. It means they use this for advertisement, or ANA, it means analysis. The same things like this. Or they try to detect the package endpoint similarity. It means they try to transfer to the endpoint. They store in the one kind of the server like Facebook or Google, but they post the name as double click or pixel. We can easily get it used for the advertisement the same. Or they store it in the same data types. It is also the same way. And they also consider the up category, because for instance, the up category is medical, for instance, medical, and they try to collect how can I say the user location, and they try to combine with the heartbeat or something like that. They can predict that they use for the medical purpose, for instance, like this. And we have many things here. They also read the description of the third party, try to know what they will do with the collected data from the application. So that is how they can give the purpose. They do it, some of them the manual ways, and then they use the supervised learning to label the remaining. So that is the on story of the second paper. They try how they can do this, and they also provide the voice box and the data set. If you want, you can review this. And I already have my. If you want, I can also give to you. And in the network sniffing, they use the NPN. They define the NPN network. They also already supported by the Google. They try to define the NPN for some tester who want to run this on the sandbox. And also they apply the man-in-the-middle to try to cast the package between the truth layer, the user layer, and the other layer. For the limitation, as you can see, they use only the dynamic analysis, so they can combine with the statics one to reduce the time for running the app. So let's go to the Publians. In the Publian here, they try to analyze the privacy policy. It's very different with the previous paper. In the purpose mobile, they only analyze the package in the data sharing. In the Publian, they keep choosing the data statics, dynamic analysis, and the privacy policy analysis. So in the same way, the first one, they try to analyze the privacy policy, and the first compare amongst the statements to find any conflict between amongst them before comparing these values with the dynamic analysis. So to do is the first one, they try to define the purpose flow instruction. I will give you the how can they do this in the next slide, and then they define the data flow instruction based on the dynamic analysis technical and how they can set up the data collection purpose. For the last one, they use the entity which they collect from the privacy policy compared with the usage purpose of the dynamic analysis. So the first one, what they do for the data usage purpose. In the data usage purpose, the first one, they focus on the group of verbs in the three kinds of activity. The first sharing, second in using, and the last one is collection. So they try to find the similarity or the synonym of this word and define it as the subject, verb, and object in a symbol. In the symbol one, I can show you here. They try to pick up in the symbol structure with the purpose of the activity, and the object is mean the kinds of the data. For instance, to provide and improve our service, it means they try to provide our service and improve our service. They try to click in a symbol structure, and then they also click this in give the same how can I say we have some kind of each sentence can combine the many symbol sentence. They try to pick up in the symbol structure again, the same thing in the NLP of the static analysis. Of the privacy policy analysis. So for the purpose taxonomy, they try to pick up in the choose layer, the first the high layer, the second and the low layer, and try to map this purpose with something they receive from the static analysis, dynamic analysis, and the privacy policy analysis. So for a privacy statement, they define the two things. The first one, data collection, and the second thing, the data usage purpose. In the data collection, they define is the information is collect or not collect, or the information used for or not used for. It means the synonym, it means the negative or the positive activities of the privacy policy. And then they also define the purpose in the same structure. they define the first one, the purpose, U for the entity, and the data U for the specific purpose, something like this. That's the privacy policy analysis. For the dynamic analysis, they use the same way in the mobile purpose approach. I just give you a quick reprise of this step. In data flow, it means they try to detect the how can I say the activity of the recipient, the purpose, and the data purpose. The sensitive purpose and the entity who can help with data. And for the data type, they also detect the types of the data like location, network, or the user profiles. The same structure in the mobile purpose. And then they compare the two things in the privacy policy and the privacy. The two things is right between the privacy policy and the dynamic analysis, and they compare inside the privacy policy to find the conflict between them. They also consider many how can I say many scenario. Yeah, for instance, semantic, substitute, or subsumption, many things they flick this, and they try to define it as a symbol structure and compare with the privacy policy and the dynamic analysis process. Okay, and for the policy contradiction, they use the true privacy statement. They compare inside the privacy policy to find the difference in the middle with the former, or in the top with the bottom, and the same chapter. So for the implementation, as you can see here, I just summarize what they do. The first one, they try to analyze the privacy policy, the three different things: the entity, the data, and the purpose. And then for the dynamic analysis, they try to collect the package, and then they give the same structure to get the data types and the data purpose for the sharing. So for the conclusion, currently we don't have the unique standard for privacy policy. It means in privacy policy, the application must provide weak information and the justice of this information, how much it is enough. We don't have this. So if at one point we can generate the privacy policy depending for the application what they do. And for the next one, and you can see here, privacy issue can happen inside the privacy policy and compare with the static or the dynamic analysis. But we can reduce the time to compare the dynamic analysis by combine with statics one. We only consider some application with the highs of percentage in higher probability in the privacy violation, something like this, because we spend a lot of time to set up the environment and spend a lot of time also for running the application on this. So it's waste time. Yep, it's some kinds of the future work. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much for the presentation. So are there any questions?
Yeah, maybe no one asked.
Yeah, maybe there are no questions.
Yes. Okay, maybe I stop your sharing here.
Okay, but then if there are no questions, then I would like to thank you for your presentation. Thank you everyone else for attending, and see you for the next presentation in 3 weeks.
Okay, see you. Bye.
Thank you, Son. Bye.